Kanye West. Yesterday, I shared with you all how Kim Kardashian's ex-husband sat down for a new interview where he incorrectly claimed that George Floyd did not die because of police brutality. Instead, the rapper claims, because he is a medical expert and or somehow was magically there, he says that George Floyd died due to fentanyl. Well, today we are now hearing that George Floyd's family is thinking of suing Kanye. To them, I say, if you have a lawyer who's willing to represent you for free, go for it. If you're paying for it out of your own money, don't do it. He's worth $1 billion and he's Kanye. Most rich people would settle, pay you to go away. But Kanye is not most rich people.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Let me tell you guys, the attack on free speech in this country never, ever, ever ends, okay? And being a conservative or somebody that has opinions outside of mainstream liberal media, we constantly have to defend our right to free speech. It is very exhausting. It really is, and frustrating because the attacks never, ever, ever end. And what we have here, guys, is a story that I would like to call the Alex Jones effect, right? We're talking about the aftermath of his defamation trial, in which the families of the victims of the Sandy Hook shooting were rewarded like $1 billion in damages or something like that. Now, will that money ever actually get paid out? Probably not. But at the same time, what you have here is that there's now an incentive for people to start suing people with a platform who make reckless statements like Alex Jones did, okay? Particularly when we're talking about the dead, which is what this story is about. George Floyd's family suing Kanye West for $250 million, plus issuing a cease and desist letter because Kanye allegedly defamed George Floyd by saying that he actually died of a fentanyl overdose than the knee to his neck from Derek Chauvin. Now, again, this would not be happening without the Alex Jones thing, right? This is why I'm calling this the Alex Jones effect. You cannot defame a dead person, right? You can't. However, what they're actually looking to do here is to get Kanye West on a secondary tort, which is an allegation of intentional infliction of emotional distress. Basically, all they would have to prove is that Kanye West went out of his way to intentionally try to inflict emotional distress and harm on the family members of George Floyd by making these statements. This is basically how the Sandy Hook victims, their families, won against Alex Jones on this secondary tort. Right? So that is actually what they're gunning for here, right? That's what they're gunning for here, which historically speaking has been exceptionally difficult to prove. However, with the Alex Jones thing, now everybody feels like the vault is open, okay? Like they're going to go in and collect money anytime somebody defames a dead person and make the claims that, well, my family was hurt by it or my family experienced emotional distress from this. This would be the equivalent of somebody in Jeffrey Epstein's family suing a high-profile character in the media or, Hollywood or celebrity or whatever for repeating the allegations that are often repeated about Jeffrey Epstein and the activities that he was allegedly involved in, and the family saying, well, I'm hurt, right? Like, I'm hurt. I have emotional distress. You intentionally tried to harm me by going out of your way to make statements that are outside the bounds of acceptable decency and morality and somehow connected to some viable harm, right? That is essentially what this would be the equivalent of. So this is a slippery slope, man. And you're seeing the George Floyd family take advantage of this. And what I feel is the most worst way possible is actually very slimy of them, considering the fact that they're suing Kanye West, who has been extremely generous to the George Floyd family. We're going to talk about that. But first, I want to read about this and kind of go from there. On October 18th, George Floyd's daughter, the child's mother, and their attorneys announced a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against Kanye West for his repugnant comments on Floyd's death during an episode of, quote, Drink Champs. An episode that has been struck from the internet, right? Apparently, big tech is cracking down on people who are posting this online or reacting to it, which is entirely, totally predictable, right? When I saw these people live streaming the Drink Champs with Kanye West, I was like, this is not going to stay up. I figured out how this stuff kind of works, right? In regards to what's going to get censored, what's not going to get censored. I think it was very obvious that that interview was going to be taken down either by big tech or by the people that put out the interview in the first place, which they claim that it's due to backlash from the mob. But I low-key think that it's actually because they were afraid that they were going to get a strike, right? That big tech was going to backlash against it. That's what I believe happened. In a press release issued by Witherspoon Law Group and Dixon & Dixon attorneys at law, Washington accused the rapper of harassment, misappropriation, defamation, and infliction of emotional distress, acting on behalf of her 8-year-old daughter, Gianna. She is suing him, his business partners, and associates for $250 million in damages for George Floyd's estate. So they're saying that the person that was harmed here is George Floyd's 8-year-old daughter, Gianna. Now, do you think that George Floyd's daughter actually heard these comments? Right? And if she did hear the comments, do you think that this is the first time she's heard these comments? Again, this is ridiculous. They're taking advantage of this young girl, right? And trying to grift off of it, right? They're trying to get paid off of this idea that George Floyd's 8-year-old daughter is so hurt by comments that Kanye West made that, I don't know, as an 8-year-old, she probably haven't even heard, okay? Unless her family members told her or somebody else told her. I'm just saying, this is an obvious play, like a Hail Mary to try to win some cash. Their attorneys also created a cease and desist letter to West. This lawsuit comes after a highly controversial appearance on the podcast Drink Champs. West, who now goes by Ye, expressed significant doubt over Floyd's cause of death. Quote, I watched the George Floyd documentary that Candace Owens put out. Ye said, they hit him with the fentanyl. If you look, the guy's knee wasn't even on his neck like that. So this is Kanye basically explaining why he believes what he believes, right? This is his opinion. And I actually want to go ahead and play a segment from Candace Owens' documentary discussing these allegations regarding what is the cause of George Floyd's death. Take a look.
They had to have the jury believe that it was a neck restraint, it was the knee on the neck, it was asphyxiation that killed George Floyd. However, there was a ton of evidence that George Floyd consumed a toxic, lethal cocktail of fentanyl and methamphetamine.
Did it appear that Mr. Floyd said, I ate too many drugs?
Yes, it did.
Let's put it in perspective. 3 grains of fentanyl on the head of a lead pencil, enough to kill you, enough to kill me. And so they had to continuously inculcate the public to believe that Derek Chauvin intentionally, premeditatedly murdered George Floyd, and drugs had absolutely nothing to do with it. As Lindsay and the toxicologist presented that awful testimony.
Do you recall describing the level of fentanyl as a fatal level of fentanyl?
I recall describing it in other circumstances. It would be a fatal level, yes, in other circumstances. Had Mr. Floyd been home alone in his locked residence with no evidence of trauma, and the only autopsy finding was that fentanyl level, then yes, I would certify his death as due to fentanyl toxicity.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Again, it makes me wonder if these claims are so wrong, why are they not suing Candace Owens and the Daily Wire for this documentary? Why are they just suing Kanye West? Again, I think this is a money grab, right? More than anything. But again, you guys saw that. We're going to read a little bit more about this and then kind of go from there. During the trial against former Minnesota police officer Derek Chauvin, the medical examiner who performed Floyd's autopsy ruled his death a result of cardiopulmonary arrest from restraints and neck compression. medical examiner Dr. Andrew Baker said that Floyd's heart disease and use of fentanyl were contributing factors to his death, but not the direct cause. All right, so here's the thing. There's a whole lot of controversy and back and forth about how did George Floyd actually die? Was it from an overdose, or, was it from the knee on the neck? Let me be the voice of reason with this, okay? I think it's reasonable to assume that the circumstances of the situation, the totality of the situation, the alleged knee on his neck, plus the alleged fentanyl use, plus his heart, I think all that probably contributed. But I think there is reason to believe that without the knee on his neck, his life could have been in danger due to the level of fentanyl that was allegedly in his system, right? I think that is a reasonable conclusion, right, or opinion to have about George Floyd's death, because there's a whole lot of back and forth where, people want to have it, no, he just died from the knee on his neck, versus people said, nope, he just OD'd. It had nothing to do with Chauvin. And I'm just like, I think the truth is in the middle here, guys, right? I think in this situation, the truth is in the middle. And without the knee on his neck, maybe due to the alleged amount of fentanyl in his system, that his life may have been at risk anyways, right? I'm just saying, I think that's a reasonable way to look at it. Candace Owens maintained through a tweet on October 17th that her documentary, The Greatest Lie of a Soul, was justified in pursuing the levels of fentanyl found in Floyd's autopsy. Quote, West knowingly made blatantly false statements about George Floyd's death to promote his brands and increase marketing value and revenue for himself, his business partners, and associates, the press release went on to say. Again, that's exactly what they accuse Alex Jones of doing. Again, this is following in the footsteps of the Alex Jones thing. That's exactly what this is. Quote, the interests of the child are a priority. George Floyd's daughter is being re-traumatized by Kanye West's comments, and he's creating an unsafe and unhealthy environment for her, said attorney Nuru Witherspoon, one of the partners at the Witherspoon Law Group. Oh, boo-hoo. Boo-hoo. George Floyd's daughter, who is richer than she ever would have been if George Floyd did not die, I don't believe that this is creating a quote-unquote unsafe and unhealthy environment for her. I simply don't believe that, right? And I don't like when people take advantage of kids like this to pursue their own financial gain, because that's what's happening here. Now, here's the thing that really kind of bothers me about this, right? This comes after Kanye West donated $2 million to pay for tuition for George Floyd's daughter. So Kanye West paid money for Gianna Floyd, George Floyd's daughter, to go to school, to get a college education. He did this 2 years ago. And the way they thank him for that is to turn around and to sue him with this frivolous lawsuit, with these very out there kind of claims, right? A prayer of hope that they're going to get the same type of judgment that, was levied against Alex Jones. Again, it just goes to show you how money hungry a lot of these people are, right? How they will pull the victim card to enrich themselves. And it really is kind of disgusting, and it shows that they're kind of ungrateful. And honestly, if they're going to go down this route, they should give Kanye West his money back, right? Get Kanye West his $2 million back if you're going to turn around and sue because he has an opinion that you don't like about how George Floyd died. An opinion that is backed up by some evidence, right? It's not like he's saying it without no evidence whatsoever. No, he's saying it with evidence, okay? I mean, even the medical examiner said, okay, yeah, if he was just sitting home on his couch, there's reason to believe that his life would be in danger, right? Based off what we know about the cocktail of narcotics that was in his system, right, at the time. I think it's reasonable for people to believe that, hey, you know what? Maybe it wasn't necessarily the knee on the neck. I don't know. Again, I'm just saying, you should be allowed to say that without being sued for it, right? Without having to pay millions and millions and millions of dollars for it. Again, this is just another attack on free speech. And that is what is happening right now in this country. And it just seems to continue to escalate and escalate and escalate, where if you say anything that offends a certain group of people, that's against a certain political party, that doesn't go along with the mainstream liberal narrative, it is instantly branded as hate speech, right? Instantly branded as hate speech. Oh, you must hate somebody or a certain group of people because you offended a certain group of people by making comments that, you know, they don't agree with. It's really sad. It really is. The First Amendment, right? I mean, the spirit of the First Amendment in this country is basically dead. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.